And you go into a city council or you go into a county commissioner court, and there's just felons everywhere. And they're there. There are sheriff's departments where they get around this and have deputies. I mean, I've been pulled over. I know what he's talking about in East Texas. And the cop walks over, and you're driving 80 miles an hour on a 55. And right there, he's wearing short sleeves. He's got big old swastikas. And he's like, oh, especially back when I was a teenager, I had blonde hair, blue eyes. He goes, well, Heil Hitler, you can go. And I didn't say Heil Hitler back, because I'm not going to play along with stuff just so I get out of trouble. I was like, huh? And my buddy had beer. We'd had a few beers. I was like 16, driving back from the beach to Dallas. Pulls us over. We got beer in the car. He walks over. We're just sitting there. And I'm looking at his arms. He's got swastika on the arm, swastika on his forearm. And I'm like, what in the world? What happens when that guy pulls black people over? I mean, what? And it's the same thing for the Mexican mafia and people that are racist towards blacks and whites, really blacks. I mean, what is that like? It's tribalism. And again, the globalists sold the dominant culture here. Christian, mainline, conservative, a little racist. But they sold that group on being hating themselves and everything else, and they bought it, believe me. Most white people are not racist. They hate themselves, worship any other group. And oh, hand my kids over, put them on Ritalin so I'm not racist, prove I'm trendy, I'll do it. That's the worldview they have. And that's so they have no culture and no defense against the multicultural Ford Foundation going in with liberation theology, creating absolute tribalism, racism in the other groups. That way, then, they can be teamed up with the state against the group that was seen as dominant. But you're going to see them shift out of that paradigm soon because white America doesn't exist. There is no culture. There is no black culture. There is no white culture. The black culture we have is not what the black culture was. I've studied it 50 years ago in this country. It's the most aberrant. And MTV picks it up and shoots it out, and it's a prison, bling, drug dealer, destructive system. The country culture, the rural culture we've got is not the culture we had 50 years ago. It is an artificial culture. And they get icons up there. It's not even about making the hundreds of millions a year per icon. That's small chump change to the globalists. They print and issue the money. It's about controlling the culture so they can tell you what's cool. To where people can't help it. They can't get into the real-life soap opera of fighting tyranny, the National Defense Authorization Act, the New World Order. They've got to watch the Broncos and the... who played last night? The Broncos and the Patriots. And I know people were watching it and stuff. Who won that game last night? I mean, No, that's not what was on last night because they were in here watching it during the show. It was, I'm proud of you two that you didn't know. But you were researching the New World Order, probably hanging out with your family? No. But, I mean, seriously... I mean, it's okay. I understand. But now I kind of want to know who won that game with Tebow, last night. But the point is, it sucks you in to where it's like you're weird if you're not going to the human sacrifice at the Aztec temple. Or you're weird if you're not helping knock out windows of somebody's business and dragging them off to a concentration camp in Germany. I mean, when the whole group is going along with it, we're designed to kind of go along with it. And so a bunch of guys out there fighting each other in simulated combat, carrying a pigskin down the Patriots one, okay. Carrying it down the green. Well, see, America's safe then, the Patriots won. Everything's fine. We can go back to sleep now. And everything becomes a referendum. It's like if Tebow doesn't win, God isn't on his side. I mean, it's all this baloney that we're fed. I mean, look, I understand watching a football game and getting into the characters and knowing the stats. Any system gets interesting when you put enough time into it. Studies show that humans doing monotonous jobs, putting bottle caps on things or whatever, or overseeing factories, will end up making little jokes out of it, and we'll see how fast they can do it or how slow, or, make little games with their buddies on the assembly line. Humans tend to make things that they have to do fun. And in my view, the only thing fun about football is playing it. But that's like the fun of getting in a fist fight. I guess it's fun if you've got to get in the fist fight. I mean, it's simulated combat, folks. Combat's for a reason. You've got an instinct to see your guys run out of the dark cave opening, charging out to meet the other team, and you've got your maidens down there dancing alluringly. You're fighting for your maidens, and the rest of the tribe is hunga, hunga, win, win, win. Everybody's painted up crazy. It's pure psychological warfare. Yeah, lemmings going off a cliff. I mean, that's what they're doing. And then you tell people, hey, you know, they're trying to pass a law to put military on the streets to secretly arrest us. Oh, that'll never happen. Come on. And then it happens, and the same people tell me, all right, well, what are you going to do about it then? See, it's always, oh, that doesn't exist. Oh, that's not going on. Oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, it's not going to. And that's why people every time who go under tyranny, in almost every case, cannot resist it because they just keep hoping everything's going to be all right. I mean, I see grown adults in videos online when a dog attacks them. People will ball up, men, because a Rottweiler's so scary. I mean, I don't want to get into stories or anything, but I've had big dogs run up and try to bite me a few times, and I got bit. And I mean, you know what? Just jump up and stomp on them. Believe me, you break one of their legs. I mean, and I'm not some tough guy. Some big dog runs up and tries to attack me. I'm going to kick it in the face, and then if it gets in and hits me in the leg, I'm like a wild ape. I'm going to jump up with both legs and stomp it. I mean, multiple times. One time with a pit bull, one time with some giant sheepdog. When we grew up on the golf course, came running out of somebody's backyard, ran down, started biting my buddy. I ran over. I was only like 12 years old, started punching it. It was biting my hands, but I started punching its eyes out, basically, and it ran off. But the point is that I see grown men, oh, the dog, and they get on and they just lay there while it's biting. I mean, how did you get turned into this? I mean, it's kind of fun when a pit bull runs out I mean, I'm not excited about it, but okay, you're running out of your garage, you're trying to bite me, I'm going to start stomping on you. I mean, I'm built to do that. Again, I'm nobody, folks. I'm not looking for trouble because I know what trouble's like because I've been there, but I don't understand it. I mean, if somebody comes up to me and punches me, I'm okay. You want to get punched back, it's going to happen. And I don't get grown adults who ball up. I mean, it's one thing if you had 5 guys beating you up and you were knocked out and couldn't get up to cover yourself up. That's one thing, and I've certainly done that. Somebody rings your bell and you're hearing bzzz, and you can't find your legs, your arms really can't move, you just got hit in the head with post hole diggers, there's blood pouring out the back of your head, and you go bzzz, but you know what? They started kicking me, and about 30 seconds later, it was like that rear axle connect. It was like, and boy, it was lookout time when I got up, because then it was zombie destruction. The point is, humans, ladies and gentlemen, have a capacity to stand up for ourselves, and I don't understand just giving yourself completely over to groveling to corruption. And that's why I'm going to cover this article and then go to Peter and Tim and Jason and Corey and Angie. Then I'll get into all the Ron Paul news. But this is some really positive news. And I keep meaning to do an InfoWars Nightly News on this. I saw this one time, and the next time I tried to find it, I couldn't find it. But you can pull up videos of rioting Chinese. They're not rioting. They're fighting against tyranny. And it's always the same. A cop beats the old homeless man to death. They just burn down all the government buildings and beat police to death. Oh, I mean, the Chinese have not been on fluoride in their water. And by the way, the government has now proposed putting lithium in the water. I saw that a few weeks ago. So the Chinese have not been gelded, castrated like we have. And I should say they're women in these videos. But there's a bunch of them. But I saw this one where they're running up a hill with like hose and hatchets and stuff, and the Chinese police start shooting them, and they just run over them. You see the camera knocked down on the ground as the people hack them up. Sure, you shot the first group of them, but they were sick of being your slave, and it's over. And they tried to round them up and put them in re-education camps and break up the families, but there were always so many. North Korea was smaller, so they were able to fully break humanity, at least physically. You saw that fake crying earlier. They're not really mentally broken. They know it's a bunch of baloney. But they still are dominated through the caste system, through the corrupt police state communist system. But to watch and by the way, as I said, I saw a number just a few months ago, earlier in the year, where it was 7,000 riots in the previous 12 months. China villagers threatened to march on government offices. Then we have some other big breaking news. China villagers threatened to march on government offices. Protesting villagers in southern China said they would march on government offices this week unless the body of local leader is released and 4 villagers in police custody are freed. Yeah, they grab people and inject them with dishwashing, cleaning soap, other stuff. Really nasty. The 13,000 residents of Wukong in the wealthy province of Guangdong, I'll pronounce that right, are in open revolt against officialdom and have driven out local Communist Party leaders who they say have been stealing their land for years. Well, no kidding. They jack up taxes on you till you can't pay, then they take it and take the taxes off. They do that right here in Austin. People roll over to it, man. They take your land for environmental reasons. 5 years later, take the land use off, and the very council members that did it then open banks they own and control the land. I mean, it's just criminality right out in the open. And I've run into them sometimes when I'm in radio and TV studios, and they'll see me, and they'll just gasp in fear, and then I don't say anything because I'm there as a guest and going off and do the interview I'm doing because I'm not debating them. But they're scared of the public. I mean, they can't believe what they've gotten away with. That's what all this police state's for, to make sure you don't wake up and send them to prison. Many local businesses have been closed the past week while schools have been shuttered as riot police blockade the village, which has for months been the scene of occasionally violent protest over land seizures. Authorities, not communist thugs, have vowed to crack down on instigators of the latest unrest, which was triggered by the arrest 9 days ago of 5 villagers, one of whom died last Sunday in police custody, tortured to death. Authorities said the 42-year-old man suffered a heart attack. Of course he did. While relatives who saw the body said they believed he'd been beaten to death. Villagers told AFP on Sunday they will march to government offices in Lufeng City on Wednesday unless the body of Zhu Jinbo is returned and other 4 villagers still in police custody are released. 10 years ago, our government would criticize China. Now they love it. If they do not return our people, then for sure we will march, said villager surnamed Zhang, 44, who told AFP his family plot of farmland has been taken from him in 95. It would be the 3rd such march since September. Communist leaders have started to collect donations for food and money for several hundred villagers struggling to feed themselves due to cordons by police. That's the double game. They block you off so you don't get food, but then the good commies get the food. Now, next, we'll get to where they have actually begun to take over areas on the other side. Of course, they're known as terrorists in China and here as well, I guess. The good guys are the bad guys in the New World Order. In China, if you protest, you can be taken to one of hundreds of execution centers where they blood type you and then advertise your body organs. You were then, when the wealthy Westerner or Japanese person, or Russian in that case, wealthy, fly in, they execute you. Now, we knew about this 15, 16 years ago, and we would be called conspiracy theorists, even when it was in mainstream European papers. Since then, it's admitted. You're melted down for cosmetics, the babies are, the collagen injections, the higher quality, more expensive ones are from dead Chinese dissidents, predominantly babies. The children are sent to re-education camps, but if the elite need young organs, they'll kill kids. And it's since all been confirmed and admitted. In fact, that's kind of flipped, though. Mainstream media admits China sells political dissidents organs, and they didn't 15 years ago. But 15 years ago, the State Department decried it, but it was like 6 years ago, the State Department put out a report. You can pull it up. State Department denies China selling organs. Period. I mean, that's like denying the sun came up this morning.